They came as if from nowhere. One day, the plains were ruled by others. The next, whispers began. New males, strong males. They were first seen near the Topi plains, that vast open grassland in the Masai Mara, full of Topi antelopes, their namesake. So, the guides and researchers, they started calling them the Topi Boys. A simple name really, but it would soon become a name spoken with fear, a name spoken with awe. These were not just any lions, these were future kings, already carrying the scent of conquest on their young manes. Their exact origins, like many great Mara legends, are a bit hazy. No one quite knew which pride they had been born into. Some said they were 4 brothers, some said more, perhaps 6 initially. What was clear, however, was their ambition. They moved with a purpose. They were not merely wandering, they were searching. Searching for weakness, for an opening, for a kingdom to call their own. The Mara always has space for the strong. The Topi Plains area, where they first made their presence felt, is a challenging place. It is open country, exposed. Good for hunting, yes, because you can see far, but also dangerous. Rivals can see you too. They wanted the heartland. The legend was just beginning to be written in the dust. These were not small lions, not by any means. The Topi boys were big, powerfully built, each one a formidable specimen of Panthera leo. Their muscles rippled under their tawny coats. Their heads were massive, framed by manes that grew darker and more impressive with each passing year. Scars too they collected, badges of honor, each telling a story of survival, of dominance asserted. These were proper fighting machines built for combat. Their eyes held a certain look, a fierce, unwavering gaze. It could be unnerving, that look. It spoke of a primal intensity, a raw power that was always just beneath the surface. When they walked, they moved with a confident swagger, a slow, deliberate pace that told everyone, this land is ours. There was no hesitation in their step. They were the bosses, and they knew it. Their paws, huge and equipped with terrible claws, trod the earth as if they owned every speck of dust. These were lions in their absolute prime, exuding an aura of invincibility. The true strength of the Topi boys, however, was not just in their individual size or ferocity. Their rise was not a gentle affair. It was swift, it was brutal. The Topi boys did not ask for territory. They took it. They burst onto the established scene with a ferocity that shocked many. Older, more complacent males, rulers of prides for years, suddenly found themselves facing a new, terrifying threat. The brothers targeted key prides, those with the best hunting grounds, the most lionesses. They knew what they wanted. They were not interested in scraps. They aimed for the throne, right from the very beginning. Their ambition was as vast as the Mara plains they sought to conquer. One of their first major takeovers, people say, was the Marsh Pride, a famous pride with a long history. To challenge for the Marsh Pride was a bold statement. It meant they were serious. The battles were undoubtedly bloody. Lions fight with everything they have when their territories and prides are at stake. Claws tear flesh, teeth crush bone. The roars of combat are deafening. The Topi boys, young and full of vigor, likely sustained injuries, but they inflicted more. They drove out the resident males. The details fade, but the outcome was clear. New kings ruled the marsh. The Topi boys were not gentle rulers. Far from it. Their reign was built on a foundation of fear and raw power. Aggression was their language. It was how they communicated their dominance to the world. Every roar, every scent mark, every patrol was a declaration, this is our land, enter at your peril. And peril it was. Any lion foolish enough to challenge them or even to be perceived as a potential threat faced their combined wrath. They were quick to anger, quick to attack. Mercy was a concept that did not seem to exist in their brutal world of survival and supremacy. Their territorial patrols were a sight to behold. The brothers would move with purpose, often fanning out slightly but always within support distance of each other. They would scent marked bushes and trees, spraying urine, rubbing their scent glands, leaving unmistakable signs of their ownership. These were not just casual markings, these were warnings. Section 5, Clash of Titans, Legendary Battles and Fierce Rivalries. The Mara is a stage for epic dramas, and the Topi boys were star actors in many of them. Their reign was punctuated by fierce battles, clashes with other powerful lion coalitions who also sought control of the prime territories. These were not mere skirmishes, these were wars. Wars fought for survival, for legacy, for the right to pass on their genes. One of their most talked about rivalries was with the Notch coalition, another formidable group of males. Notch himself was a legend, a battle-scarred veteran. When his sons and allies met the Topi boys, the plains must have trembled. Details of specific battles are often pieced together by guides and researchers from tracks, from injuries seen on the lions, from the sudden disappearance of males. Imagine the scene. Two powerful groups of lions, roaring their defiance, charging across the savannah, the dust rising, the sound of impact as bodies collide, deep growls, snarls, and the screams of pain. These fights could last for hours, sometimes days, with pauses and resumptions. The Topi boys, with their numbers and their tight coordination, often had the upper hand, but they did not emerge unscathed. Victory always came at a price. Section 6. Kings of the Plains Territory, Pride, Life, and Governance. The territory controlled by the Topi boys at their peak was vast. It encompassed some of the richest areas of the Masai Mara, kilometers and kilometers of prime hunting ground, riverine forests for shade and cover, open plains teeming with wildebeest, zebra, and buffalo. This was no accident. They had fought for and won the best. Controlling such a large and resource-rich area meant their prides were well fed. The lionesses had access to plentiful prey, which in turn meant healthier cubs and a better chance of survival for the next generation. This was the ultimate prize for their constant battles. Section 7. The inevitable wane cracks in the armor. Nothing lasts forever, not even the reign of the mighty Topi boys. Time, the great leveler, began to catch up with them. Years of brutal fights, of constant vigilance, started to take their toll. Old wounds ached, scars tightened. Their once boundless energy began to diminish, ever so slightly at first. Perhaps one of them limped a little more after a particularly cold night. Perhaps their roars didn't carry quite the same earth-shattering power as before. These were subtle signs, almost imperceptible. But the Mara misses nothing, and younger, ambitious eyes were always watching from the shadows. The pressures of kingship are immense. Maintaining control over a vast territory and multiple prides requires constant effort. Younger, stronger coalitions of males are always probing for weaknesses, looking for an opportunity to challenge the established rulers. As the Topi boys aged, these challenges likely became more frequent, more daring. Section 8. End of an era. The fall of the Topi boys. The end, when it came, was likely as violent and dramatic as their rise. New coalitions, younger and stronger, finally managed to break through their defenses. These were probably not single, decisive battles, but a series of confrontations, a relentless wearing down of the old kings. The names of these new challengers would have started to circulate among the guides and researchers, perhaps the Salas boys, or some other emerging force. They would have smelled blood in the water, the scent of a weakening dynasty, and they would have pressed their advantage without mercy. The final takeovers would have been brutal. The remaining Topi boys, old warriors by now, would have fought with the courage of lions who had everything to lose: their kingdom, their prides, their very lives. Section 9. Echoes in the Mara, the lasting legacy. Even though their reign has ended, the Topi boys are not forgotten, not at all. They live on in the stories told around campfires, in the memories of guides who witnessed their power, in the photographs and videos that captured their magnificence. They became legends of the Masai Mara, a benchmark against which other coalitions are often measured. Their name still evokes a sense of awe, a reminder of a time when these particular brothers ruled a vast empire with an iron paw. Such dominance leaves an indelible mark on the history of any wilderness. Their legacy is also etched into the genetics of the Mara lion population. The cubs they sired, those that survived the subsequent takeovers, would have carried their genes forward. So, in a way, the Topi boys live on through their descendants, their strength and resilience potentially passed down to future generations of Mara lions. Their impact on the lion dynamics of their time was significant.